Is over to you, and thank you ever so much that you're able to join us.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'll maybe start by giving you a little overview of what's also happening with the militarization in Germany, and then yeah, give a little overview of our current fight against it as part of the anti-conscription movement. So Germany is facing the biggest militarization since the Second World War, which currently means that every second euro is already being spent on military purposes. And it also means that every part of society is being made ready for war. For example, the government has taken on debts explicitly for military purposes. These are being used to make railway systems ready for troop transport to the east. The healthcare system is being made ready to receive thousands of war wounded. Also, especially dear to my heart, being an educational science student, the educational system is increasingly used to recruit underage soldiers to push forward the militarization of minds. And it's also being used to spread propaganda about the looming direct Russian threat to NATO, to Germany, and the need to be ready for war in the coming years. This is accompanied by increasing cuts in wages and social safety nets being attacked, and the hard-fought achievements of working people are being put under attack. A good example is the attack on the 8-hour day that is currently underway. This is all accompanied by an ideological war. As the German Chancellor has recently said, we need to be ready for sacrifices and losses, last being seen by our ancestors and by our grandparents. And they are also targeted primarily by a militaristic propaganda. Young people are the victims most being affected by these attacks. They're also targeted in schools and at uni, and there are many ads being run to get them into the army, as well as by recently, as was already stated, by reintroducing or reactivating the draft in Germany. Young people see that their future is becoming more dangerous every day. They see that the cost of living is ever increasing and that well-paid jobs are hard to come by. Now, the German government is trying to use the miserable situation of working and studying young people and their fears to recruit them into the army voluntarily through propaganda or by drafting them for war if the numbers they set out are not being reached. They are preparing to finally reach their dream of becoming a global power once again, while the global power poles are shifting due to the rise of the People's Republic of China and the relative decline in power of the United States. Again, quoting the Chancellor, if we want to take our place as a global power, we must learn to talk the talk of power politics. And that for him also includes military actions and military interventions. In response to the newest attacks on the interests of young people in Germany, students, so that meaning school students, have begun to form strike committees locally when it became known that the parliament is planning to reactivate the draft in Germany in December. And the new law demands that every young person also must fill out a form about their readiness to join the armed forces, and for every male to be subjected to a compulsory examination by the army. Furthermore, every male between 17 and 35 years must now give notice to the military if they are planning to leave the country for more than 3 years, for more than 3 months. School students organized themselves against this. People from young labor unions, student representative bodies, and youth organizations supported the students and called their own student members out to strike. On the first National Strike Day, we had 55,000 students going on strike, followed by the most recent strike in March, where we achieved a similar number by founding more strike committees in more cities. We noticed that the media coverage of our protest became increasingly hostile. We faced attacks such as students being locked inside school grounds if they wanted to leave to go on strike. We have received threats to worsen grades of students, threats of teachers to alarm parents if their students in their classes go on strike, and so on. But we are very proud that the students have not been stopped by these attacks and will continue to fight against our government that claims to represent them while trying to force them into a war which they have absolutely no stake in. We held the first nationwide strike conference where they mostly agreed on the direction the movement must need to take. Among the goals were We need to create more strike committees in the schools. We need to focus on the connection between the conscription and the interests driving forward militarization. We want to reach more parents and student representatives. Also, we need to reach more teachers in order to further our goal of forcing the government to take back the law about reintroducing the draft. And we want school representative bodies to declare their schools a zone where no recruiters may enter. So young people are no longer subjected to being lured in by militaristic propaganda in the school, which is currently taking place. And we are now planning our next nationwide strike conference on the next weekend. And the next strike will be on the 8th of May. We will also draw the historical connection because this is the day of victory against German fascist aggression. And we want to make this clear. We want to make clear that German youth will not stand for being drafted into another world war again. And we will continue our protest against this.
Thank you so much, Hannes. That was inspiring in the sense it's absolutely fantastic to hear of young people, organising themselves and taking action against their government. And it's a great inspiration to us. And I'm sure that we all here send solidarity and all the best to you. We live in a city, don't we, with 2 universities, and we know, I think,